Hello YouTube, hello Twitch. Hopefully both of you are running. I'm not exactly sure yet. I think we are. It says we are over there. One. Does it say we are over here? We are. So, hello. Welcome to this live unboxing. Hopefully some of you will join the stream at some point. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're ahead of time or not, because I didn't check the clock. Oops. But anyhow, oh, what have we got? What have we got? What have we got? We got some goodies. Yes. If you haven't been on some of the streams recently, we've been doing more of a hardware focus. As you can see, we've got the GT Omega rig over there, which is now actually built. There's some more bits coming for that to attach, and I'll probably take you through a thing of those once we get those parts, along with, at some point, an initial reaction to how I feel about the rig overall. But having all of that is one thing. You know, you've got your Fanatec DD, you know, CSL DD mounted there, or whatever drive, but you're going to need something to actually attach to that, and that's basically some wheel rims. Now, you can get complete wheel rims like this one here, which is the McLaren GT3 V2, which is a 100% replica of McLaren wheel. Feels very good in the hands, different things like that. I've talked about this in the past. We're going to look at slightly different way of doing things as well, because let's face it, when you get something like this, it's great when you're in a car that this is similar to, and you might want to drive more than just the GT3 with the whole sort of Batmobile style non-rounded layout. So that's where some other things come in, like one I'm here to show you today, which is the Fanatec CSL Universal Hub, which, I'm terrible at prices. Yeah. Yeah. So 150 euro basically. 150 euro or $150 plus like shipping, and if you're in the UK, good old rips, you know. Brexit's taxes and import charges apply and stuff like that, depending on what it is with how much you buy and import. But CSL Universal Hub is one thing. You also then need wheels to go with it, and that's these as well. We're going to go and look at this first of all. All in their boxes. I'll show you how it comes and what we get in the box. One of the things I always love about these little boxes with the little carry handles and things like that is they are really nice boxes. I usually keep the Fanatec boxes. I like these boxes, especially when they're products like this, because they usually put some different messages on the boxes and things like that, and that's kind of fun. And this one, I believe, is no different in that. So we're going to open that up. It's like a 3-tab thing there. And what do we have? Do we have a message? Yes. So, being second is to be the first of the ones who lose. Very fitting for racing. So being second is to be the first of those who lose. I love stuff like that. One of the things you've got to watch out for on some of the Fanatec boxes as well with these messages is you can have parts of the messages which are hidden. Such was the case with the CSL DD. Part of the message was kind of hidden under the strap and things like that. And I believe that one went on about knowing the limits, and that its limits was a little bit higher than others. So that's good fun. Right, taking it out there. Like I said, I love the layout of having these carry handle boxes they do with Fanatec, however you wish to say it. And we open it up and it's got like some cutaway sections there, some foam so that it's not getting damaged. We'll lift that foam out. Like that, and it's all nicely there. And it's all packed in like that. I don't know if you can see too well. Let's bring that forwards a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Ooh. You've got in here separately bagged as well. I'm going to lift that up out of the foam, nice and careful, and basically it's all in a separate bag there. Got some silica gel in the bag there to keep out moisture. You don't want moisture in with electronics, obviously. Take this out of the bag. We can show you this properly. Ooh, nice. My first time seeing one of these in real life. I do have something else to show you to compare this to in a little while. We'll get into that. But first impression, it's quite light. Being a CSL version, it's got the CSL quick release version 2 on here. In behind here, you'll know there's the sticker, which you'll have to pull off, and the pins will be behind there. We'll show you that in a moment. But yeah, it also has this bolted in here, so that if you want to replace the plastic CSL version 2 quick release with a Clubsport one, you can replace it with the metal Clubsport one. I'll show you a bit like what a Clubsport one looks like in a bit, but I've only got a version 1 Clubsport quick release system, not a version 2 Clubsport one that would be like the bolt on type. So this, if you want to, for instance, if you have, say, a higher powered direct drive, like the DD1 or the DD2, and you want to unlock the full potential of one of the steering wheels, you need to have the metal quick release system on the back of these. So if you've got, like I have here, hello, welcome. Oh, that's another point. If you're here live as well and you want to ask some comments, please go ahead and ask. Who was that? I can't see properly from over there. Ham. Hey, Ham. I couldn't hear too well there. My ear was a bit blocked up, but a little bit blocked up today. But yeah, so if you want to unlock the full potential of a DD1 or a DD2 at their 20 and 25 Newton meters, then you'd need to replace this plastic CSL quick release with the Clubsport quick release. So you can do that. Let's take a look at the front side here. As you can see on it, it's got like some little display, has some different buttons. Nice. Oh, that's really nice and clicky. Hey, how you doing? So yeah, if you're here live, please feel free to ask some questions. Anything I don't comment, I'll try and answer. As long as I can make out the question, I may have to zoom across there to have a look at the text now here. Kevy D, yeah, there's Kevy there. So we have a collection of buttons, toggle switches. Is it just one way? Yeah. So you've got a two-way toggle switch there, up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. They've all got a really positive click actually, and they're all resting at sort of like slightly different heights and have different surrounds to them, which is going to be good for VR because then you can tell where it's going to be easier there. So again, left to right there. We also have a little switch here that'll go left and right. We've got little things there. Same on the other side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 normal clickable buttons. Switch up and down. And I believe this will be the funky switch. So the funky switch is basically a 4-way hat with a push-in button and a twist. Big solid buttons for the win. Yeah. We also have a tiny button here, which is our settings button, which will pull up the settings menu into here as well for if you don't want to do things on your actual computer. There is also a USB-C hub on the top here. I believe that's for if you have some other form of thing that you want to connect here. Can you put that hub all up the camera for a closer look? Link in the VDR. Says, I'm next to the party. What kind of quick release is that hub have? This has just the CSL quick release, so it's the plastic one on here because it goes for basically $150. I'll show you closer there if I can and see all the buttons there. We've got the USB hub there. We have 2 paddles. Again, these are plastic. Still feel very, very positive and clicky. I don't know if they're magnetized or not. It feels, I think they're just sprung loaded, but it feels really positive actually. And they've got like that honeycomb type of thing on the back there, so they actually feel, though they're plastic, they actually feel quite strong. Really, really quite a positive click. Would have been nice if they were, you know, either metal, carbon fibre, and something like that. I'll try to, but I can't see what's going on. Here we go. USB on the top. Side panels with the honeycomb on the back. Yeah. Hey, if you can see that, you can see the little USB socket at the top there as well. There's the back. And at the back here, let's show you in here, while I'm here, take this sticker off. That down there, and you can see in there the pins. Unfortunately, I don't have any kitchen scales. Don't have any kitchen scales, I'm afraid. Sorry. Haven't got round to baking on the level where I need the kitchen scales, so I haven't bought any yet. Right, so if you've not seen this quick release system yet, this is the CSL V2 quick release system. So you turn to the right and it's unlocked. You'd place it on and then you'd turn it around to the right. There's a little line, I don't know if you can see that there. There's a little white line. And the idea is when you are locking it in place, you cinch that, and basically as soon as you can't see the white line, you know that it's cinched in, and these parts have cinched all the way in they need to have a good firm hold. You don't need to try and tighten it any more than that. So that's something to always think out for. It's done specifically on there. Of course, people like Lincoln Clay, if you get something like this, you're going to want to replace that with the metal back, because that would then unlock your full potential of your DD1 drive and anybody who has DD2 drive. But that's really cool. The other thing to note on the front here, of course, is this is a universal hub. So we have this arrangement here of lots of different screw places, and that's going to allow us to put basically pretty much any rim you can think of on here. Hopefully, as long as the clusters here don't get in the way. And we'll take a look at how the clusters and the arms work as well, because basically there's a couple of bolts sliders here, and you can basically slide both these buttons sections and the flappy paddles out together and then lock that down. So if you have a wider wheel, you can make that out wider so you can get to the buttons without having to overstrain in. And you'll see what I mean by that, because I've got a couple of different rims to show with you here as well. I'm going to put one of them on here, and I'll show you something else to compare to as well. Let's take a look at the rest of what we get in here. I'm going to put this over the top for the moment. Just to make sure I don't get any dust or anything else in the back here on the contacts. Right. So, we'll put that back in there, and what else have we got in the box? So, there's a little tool. So, this little Allen key, tiny little driver, which I believe is going to be the same size as this driver, I hope. Yes. So, I'm going to be using my own driver. I like precision drivers when it comes to some of these things, and this one's meant for RC helicopter sports and stuff like that. So a good set of Allen key drivers was always needed for my RC stuff. So there's one of those, which is kind of cool. Got another tool in here, which I believe will be a little Allen key. It's a little bolt wrench. Very different type of bolt wrench. Normally you have the ones that have a little outy part or whatever, but there's one that's a closed top. Though of course you can always use an adjustable wrench if you need it. So I've got an adjustable wrench on standby, which is open just in case. Pop that back in there. What else have we got? Ooh, there's a slot there. Okay, good. Slot. We have distractions. And in behind the instructions is some stickers. So we have stickers that if you are so inclined you can stick to things that you can stick things to. I usually don't use the stickers much myself, but some people love having their stickers they can put anywhere and everywhere. So that's the Universal Hub itself. I'm going to go into the manual a little bit, or quick guide. So, quick guide, we've got English, just goes over the package contents, and it says about the data port C. So the data port C on the top of the CSL Universal Hub is to connect future compatible Fanatec peripherals with your wheelbase. And it says, attention, this is not a USB data port and cannot transfer any data between a PC and a connected device that is not from Fanatec. So other possible expansions there, I presume maybe a light bar or something like that, because this doesn't have like a rev limiter on here or something like that. So maybe they're making something like that, I don't know.
Says, so that's what the data port on the CSL DD is for, accessories.
Probably, yeah. I did actually try to plug in a different shifter into the data port on my CSL DD, and it didn't work as a hub at all, which is a little disappointing really, but it would have been handy if it had. Right, goes on to say about here as well that rim hub compatibility. So basically it says M5 bolts with a maximum thread length of 12 millimeters. Fanatec wheel rims are supplied with correct bolts, which you'll see in a little while. And it says if your wheel rim is not pre-drilled, use the drilling template for the CSL Universal Hub, which can be downloaded from the Fanatec website. Basically speaking, obviously this is a Universal Hub. That means that yes, you can buy rims direct from Fanatec, but you can also use Hub from pretty much anywhere, including real world racing hubs. For the most part, where the holes are on here usually corresponds to a lot of real world hubs, and we'll see on that. It also says about the Universal Hub adjustments. So the button boxes. So it would go for that. It also says to not try and adjust the button boxes whilst it's connected to the wheelbase. For obvious reasons, you don't want it to suddenly be flying around on you if it's connected to an actual active wheelbase. It also says not to remove the bolts or nuts, only to loosen them enough to allow the left and right modules to move. And it says only to use the tools provided. Like I say, I've got basically sets of precision tools as well. We can use theirs. It's a warranty thing, I guess. But yeah, I do have other tools that I would typically use for stuff with things, but the back there will go with what they say and use their things there. So basically you can loosen this up. Let's show that. Let's do that. Let's loosen these up so you can see that happening. It's 3 bolts. So got that's loose, that's loose, it's loose. So basically I'll come round again so you can hopefully see this up close when we're doing it. Yeah, it's not too much range, but that's quite a bit. You can see if I pull on one, it moves both sides at the same amount, so it's a set rate and will be even between the two sides. So we don't have to kind of worry about finer adjustments there. It'll be equal between the parts on the rim, and that's obviously to try and make sure that you have equal weight distribution across both parts there. For now, I'm going to keep that in close. We'll cinch that back in. Where's the tool? Right. So that's the general gist of what that is. Of course, it's going into plastic here. I presume there is probably some metal studs in there as well for where you're screwing in. But don't try and over cinch this, because if you try to over cinch things like these, you normally thread something and destroy a bolt or whatever, and that's never fun. So just loose it, tight enough so it's never going to move, but loose enough, or end up flying out, but loose enough that it's not over threaded or causing problems to threads. Right, so that's the Universal Hub itself. Now, what do you attach to that? We'll put that to one side. The rest of the manual. Let's see what the rest of the manual is saying. Oh. So, yeah, it says both freely, same time. Yep, the other bit is saying about the clamping on to the whole thing, like I already said, about the visible line indicators and the lock positions. There's a guide rail inside there. If you're used to seeing any of the things here, I'll show you how that kind of works on one of these. So I've got some wall mounts here that basically I can use this to put on the wall. You can see in there's a guide rail, or maybe you can't from there. Let's show you that up close. So there's a guide rail at the top here. Yeah, that you can just slip in and then you just turn, and that's it, basically locked in. It's not locked into this one so well because I haven't turned it all the way on that, but then you do that, and that's essentially what you do on your actual wheel. Great. So there you go with that. Let's have a look see here for something else. Wow, my nose is going to go itchy again or want to sneeze. How is everybody, by the way? Hopefully you're all well. We've got some other goodies. So, that's the Universal Hub. Well, the CSL Universal Hub. So, what I want to go with this is some actual wheel rims. I've got two here, which will hopefully give me a good thing here. They kind of look like sort of black pizza boxes. So they open up there. They don't have any special message on here. You can see it comes like that. And we've got like just a protection here, baggy. It's like that soft plasticky type of, I don't know what this type of fabric is. It's some form of plastic. As it said, the wheel rims come with bolts of applicable size to use with the rim and the universal hubs, so that it doesn't damage anything, scratch anything or anything else like that of that nature. So it comes with those bolts already, and you can see, like I say, there's inset metal threads there. Right, this one is so sweet. Oh, isn't that pretty? So this is quite a small rim. I believe it's a 270 size. This is basically the so that'd be like 27 centimeters or 270 mil, if you like. And this is the same size as what you'd find of a wheel that would be in like your 1980s, early 90s Formula One cars, things like the Lotus what would it be, 98T, or is it T98? I never remember which way round it is. But all those classic sort of Formula cars tend to use this. Some other cars would use this, and karting cars would tend to use something like this size as well. So that's going to be great fun when I go out in some classic Formula racing. There was actually some rally wheels, rally cars that used smaller wheels like this as well, but then they also have some that are a good bit bigger than this. It's a straight type, so it's not really a drift wheel. The drift wheels tend to have the pan out further, so this is a flat wheel there, but it does look so nice. Aluminium here, brushed aluminium with Fanatec logo, that's all embossed and then painted white. Countersunk bolts, 3 countersunk bolts, which of course those are the 3 countersunk, or should I say 3 countersunk holes. The material around this is leather wrap. It feels lovely. It really does. It's a seamless leather wrap. Feels really good in my hands. So that's one of the wheels there. We're going to leave that there for the moment. I do like that it has like a whole thing there. The other one we've got, a bit bigger. So oh, by the way, this is the which one is this? I believe this is the Clubsport Round. Let's see. Yeah. So this is a Clubsport Round 1, which is €130, so $130. Real quality piece, basically. Really, really nice. The next one I've got is actually a Podium Rim. So this is the R320, I think. R300, sorry. It's the R300. Thought it was the 320. It's not. It's the R300 Podium. So it's the Podium R300 wheel with a flat bottom. So look, we're going to take that one out. Again, this one not only comes with the bag of bolts here for a black bag of bolts, it also comes with the sort of golden bronze anodized type bolts, and you'll see why it comes with these extra bolts as well, because then you've got a choice basically between which bolts you're going to bolt in, and I'll show you the reason for that in a moment. Again, ooh, nice. We have again the logo there, all nicely in there, nice and protected. All this looks pretty. Put that down there. And I'll come into the camera and show this up a bit closer. So, this one, you can see it's got this gold accent there. So, with the different bolts, because you've got again the same sort of black brushed aluminum or aluminium if you're British like me, but we'll say the American aluminum or British aluminium. So brushed aluminium, and the logo is actually printed on there. It's not embossed, and you can see the stitching is also gold as well there. So leather surround again, and it feels really nice. The gold band at the top is still a leather piece. I thought that was going to be a different material or something, but it's not. It's actually leather as well, and you can see the nice sort of. Hopefully, you can see the stitching detail that's in there, and this is like a 300 wide rim. It's got a slight pan there, so it's not totally flat in terms of here. You can see there's a little bit of an upwards. I don't know if you can see that or not. So it's got a bit of an upwards sort of flange in, so the dish pie type thing there. I don't know if you can see that with how the light reflects off when it hits the surface of the metal there. You can see the sort of curve in there, and again it just feels like a really solid, there's no flex and give in there, so it's all really nicely made. Very pretty. Beautiful. Right, now the reason that we've got two, because I mean obviously this is going to be great for my older Formula driving things, other stuff like that possibly. This is going to be great for some of the bigger cars, the GT4s, some rally cars, and I'd say some other performance cars would have a similar type of wheel rim to this. So you'd find wheel rims like this is very similar to what you'd have in some Ferraris, some Lamborghinis, and other manufacturers like that. So that should suit me very well to a lot of what you get in a lot of cars that we tend to drive in sims, and it's one of those important things that I do think carries across for VR is that the steering wheel that you hold in your hands, the closer it is to the real thing of what you're driving, the better, because then it's going to have that same sort of profile, and when you're in a virtual cockpit, you can see virtual arms, virtual hands, and you can see a virtual wheel. So if that matches up and correlates, it just makes everything that much more convincing. One of the things I do have to say here, of course, is I wear gloves when I am racing, so let's just have a feel with what that feels like when I'm racing, because these being leather, they're not exactly the cheapest of things, and if you're gonna wear, use these a lot, you want to keep them nice and pristine, really. So when it comes to trying this out with the gloves, so I've got like these hyper grip gloves, which I need to replace. They're getting a little bit threadbare, but that's going to feel nice in the hands, a little bit of extra grip, but still enough to slide through if I need to drift a bit. And of course, if I need to get my thumbs out of the way, because if especially if you're Lincoln with the 20 Newton meters of torque there, it's going to do that. Right, that feels lovely. Similarly, this feels really nice. I think the leather on this, yeah, I mean, they're similar. They're the same material, basically. Same type of leather, same quality of leather on both of these rims, really. But like I say, this one is a little different. I thought you'd like that, Lincoln. Yeah. So lovely. Right. Now let's show you how that kind of will go on. So this is where we want to make sure our modules are in the right place, because as you can see here, actually, I don't know if you're not going to be able to see that straight away, but basically all of these, for this one, it's got the 6 screws, and we've got 6 screws on the outside, and they all line up absolutely perfectly. But where the buttons are and the paddles, I may want to move the button boxes out a bit and the paddles out, so that I don't have to stretch too much with my fingers to get to the paddles and such there, if I put that onto there. Now differently, this one here has only 3 holes, and there are 3 inner holes there. It also tells us that we have a maximum bolt length on here that says 12mm maximum bolt, so max 12mm bolt. Also over the rest, right here says max 2.5 Newton meter force, and that's how much Newton meters you screw the screws in. So if you want to get really precise with this, when you screw these in, don't put more than 2.5 Newton meters of force on the screws when you've screwed them in, or that's the max sort of holding force of each screw point there. Something along those lines, not the max amount of torque that can be put through the Universal Hub. So that's about the screws on there, rather than the the actual hold itself. I believe it's basically the, I think it's the amount of torque you apply to the screwdriver should not exceed 2.5 Newton meters of force when you put that in. Okay, so I hope that's kind of clear. Now I've got some decisions to make. Am I going to put the little one on here? Which again, that all lines up like that. It's nice and sweet. That looks really cool. I like the look of that. That does look really cool. But I have a choice. Which one do I put on? The smaller one? Or the R300? Now, I want to show you something else as well to give you a bit more of a comparison. And I have over here prepared another wheel with another Universal Hub. So this is a Clubsport Universal Hub, an Xbox variant. As you can see, it's got the Xbox logo on here. This is a V1 version. This has not got the standard flappy paddles on here. This has got a modified version, so all aluminium, shortened throw, and we've got a different type of quick release. Let me just show this to you. So, metal quick release, instead of a turning solution, you have this whole bit here. Yeah, you can see down in there the same things. There's also a bolt point in there if you don't feel completely safe about how the quick release is holding it, but I haven't had an issue and haven't had to place a bolt into that at all. But yeah, this is the version 1 of the Universal Hub. You can also see buttons there and the different modules, so 4 different modules there, plus the funky switch module, which is the Xbox button. So that as well as being a push button, is a 4-way hat and is a dial. On the top, strangely enough, even though this is the Xbox version, it actually has, well, select and start, you've got L1 to 3, R1 to 3, then you have a little D-pad there with an X button in the middle, and then it's got the PlayStation buttons. And this is a different type of beast of a CSL, the Clubsport Universal Hub. Oh, you've also got this little LCD panel on the top, which comes off and can also be placed in a different direction there, or it can be done standing up. I prefer standing up because then you can see it easier, but if you had something where there's a spoke in the way or whatever, then it's movable. And I've got a really, really cheap rim on here. So basically, this steering wheel that's on here is a 350 rim, I think it is. And it's like a really dead cheap eBay plasticky rim. So as I said, you can get anything to go on these, and that's one. So I have a choice here of I either place this one in with the CSL, the original Universal Hub, so the V1 Hub, which might be a tighter squeeze for all of the button boxes and the controls. No, be possible, but I think it'd be a little bit of a squeeze, but not much of a squeeze. Or I can place the wider 300 R300 rim onto the Universal Hub. What do you reckon, guys? Bit of a vote. Which one should go where? You need to look at the text as well. No votes? Right. I think I'm going to put this on to our little CSL Universal Hub, and I'm going to put the R300 on to the bigger original Universal Hub. Just in case you're wondering as well what the difference between the version 1 Universal Hub and the newer version 2 Universal Hub is, that the quick release on here is fixed. I can't change this back section. I also cannot use the advanced paddle module, the Podium advanced paddle module on the V1 Hub. So you can only use things that are compatible to the V1 Hub on here. Yep, and Hub. So right, this is where it gets easier as well. See, to show you just how easy it's going to be to put this on here, it's just 3 screws. So we're going to put the smaller one, I think, on here. I've already cinched the length of this in, which I think is perfectly suited for this size of wheel. It's just like, yeah, I think it kind of works. Though, if it's there, actually, that'd be fine. I was a little bit worried about the clearance height. I was a little bit worried about the clearance height of these switches because they do feel a little bit delicate, but I think it'll be okay. So let's put it onto here. Right, we need our tools, as we're going to obey Fanatec. We're going to use their tool rather than my own tools, even though I prefer my own tools because it's a a bigger tool in my hands and is easier for me to work with. But we're going to use this. It's just 3 bolts, so not an issue. Right. I'm going to line these up. Drop a bolt in there. Just make sure it's threaded correctly, which it is. No threading issues on that. Good precision work, which we would expect from Fanatec. Again, whichever pronunciation you like, Fanatec or Phonetic, whichever pronunciation you like. I'm not going to argue with. So I end up saying both all the time anyway. Right, and third one, just going to make sure that I thread these in nicely. Oh, my stupid nose. That does look cool. That really does look cool. Right. I'm just going to put them in a little loose first of all. Make sure they're all in good sort of position. I'm not going to cinch them down. I'm going to go do the circles when I'm cinching it down more, just to make sure that it's absolutely in the right position, because you've got these countersunk bolts, so as we get them in closer and tighter, it will cinch the wheel in properly. Yeah, a little bit of adjustment there. Good. See, that's all flush there. A little bit tighter. Yes, they do pronounce themselves as Fanatec. You're quite right. This bolt is a little bit. This hex one fits in perfectly with that. This bolt, that bolt's a little bit, you know, sometimes when you get a hex screw that is so close to the limits and the driver is so close to the limits that you can tell it's not going in fully and you kind of have to wiggle a little or whatever, whereas this one and this one is absolutely spot on. There's no give, no play, no nothing. Whereas I'm scared that if I try to do anything with this, I'm going to end up stripping the bolt a little, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to scratch that bolt or anything. I know the manual said use our tools, but I feel that might be bad in this case. How you doing, drunk gamer? Right, that again is a little bit. Yeah, so one of these bolts. Yeah, there's a warning on there, all right. It's not polite to try and post links into other people's streams without their permission. Right, the conversations go on. Okay, that's a shame. Right. Yeah, so one of these bolts is a little bit on the edge of dodgy. I just want to make sure it's cinched down enough, but I want to be really careful that I don't strip out the bolt.
Those wheels look like the business.
Yeah, they are lovely.
No worries, ma'am. Thanks for that. Yay, went by your channel. It says that used to you.
Okay, so there we go. Let's take a look at this. There we go. There's our wheel all on, nice and secure. Finger clearance, just about got finger clearance there. You're going to be close when you're at the top, because I can feel that module a bit there. So, yeah.
I wonder if this guy plays driving games. Here's a joy.
Lovely. Okay. Yeah, play throwing games. Definitely. Okay, so.
Says the DA drunk gamer. Yeah, nothing new from me there. I left with all the bull crap of YouTube and other things. I lost interest.
Lovely. What do you reckon, guys? Looks nice? We're going to try this on the drive. So, drive. Oh, it's all lined up. I'm just going to slip that onto there. Oh, that's a tight fit. Okay. Play in the little bit of play with the Q1. There's a little bit of play. That play is actually. I don't think the play is actually in the
Drum gamer.
quick release.
You still play games and online and stuff. Just don't stream anymore.
Yeah. A lot's been happening there. Right. Cool. That is lovely. That is really, really lovely. I like it. I like it a lot. Not just a little bit, a lot. Yeah, no, a lot happened over the last few years. Um, you know, with gaming and everything else in general. So you do reach burnout at different points, and with the driving games, I still enjoyed them a lot more, and a lot of things are going on, so had to take my time away from doing some things like this. Trying to get back into some of these. If you like this type of format of content as well, please like, thumbs up. I like seeing comments in the comments on the videos if they're not on the live play. Um, there's plenty of old content there as well. I will be doing some other games at different points as well.
Just not online or streaming stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. See you on the racetrack. Right, let's take a look at something else. So that one is the CSL Universal Hub with a
Drum Gamer says, Coca, I recently got a Quest 2 manicure on that.
Clubsport Rim. Yeah, I've got a Quest, but I haven't been using it much lately. Right, let's take a look at something slightly different here. So you've got a comparison between what
Great Tantrum.
the CSL Universal is like. Okay, contact each other, game together, have fun. Is good. So I'm going to take this very cheap rim off of here and put the lovely new one on there. And it gives you a chance to compare the difference between our CSL Universal Hub. Okay. Is that the station side or the other side? We just catch up with some of this. Yeah. Cool. Right. First thing to note, it's okay. That's part of the fun of doing live streams, and I like doing live streams like this because that way I get a bit of interaction. We all like a little bit of social life. Right. This is going to be slightly different because there are more screws to unscrew, and I don't think is it that size? It is. Oh, that's good because that size was two. No, they're the same. Good. Don't need that then. We'll put that to one side. Right. Now this is more complicated. You're going to see why. Actually, I need to actually undo some different parts here to get at this because what you see is
Great Tantrum says,
oh yeah, that'd be good. I would have liked to have got a cut down kit. Basically, it would have been nice if they do a version that has the, for people that have pedals or stuff like that who want to replace drives. It would have been nice if they had done just the PlayStation base, which I presume they will do just the PS version of the CSL DD at some point, with just that for the PlayStation compatibility.
Yeah, dude. My dad's also hags.
But it'd also be good if they do a wheel and that only, because obviously I've already got pedals and I don't need the pedals.
Yeah, they will release just the base sometime later.
Exactly, but I kind of want the base and the GT wheel, but I'm only going to go for that if and is and if.
Gamer says, I wish I had money to spend on those awesome wheels.
Well, that's the point of actually having the universal hubs as well, because as you saw there, it didn't take much to unscrew or screw in on that basic hub, and that's it ready. If I want to use this wheel on that universal hub, unscrew 3 screws, screw in 6 screws, and there's 3 screws to be able to adjust the button boxes in and out a bit. It's a couple of minutes job. This one can be a little bit more involved though. So we're going to unscrew all of these for a start. So like I said, this was a cheap eBay job, real life steering wheel. So when you have universal hubs, you can put real life steering wheels on here. And this one has a.
The GT wheel is best only if you're a GT fan. I hear it is built for GT in mind. It can be used on other sims though. Compatible with PC.
Yes, the GT wheel is meant for Gran Turismo 7 only, really. Well, it's meant particularly for that, but of course can be used with other games. But I would like to see just one with the wheel and the wheelbase.
It is kind of like the Thrustmaster TGT, which its wheelbase was built for GT Sport.
It is very similar. There are notable differences in the buttons. So yeah, when you look at the 2 wheels, they are very, very similar. It's like the Fanatec one is really an update by to the layout for the new GT7. But like I said, I'm only going to go that way if.
Figure out to hook up my wheel to my gaming laptop. I tried once before, couldn't figure it out.
Okay. Picking up a wheel to laptop is pretty easy. Especially nowadays, it's just literally usually plug it in, and then when you go into the menus, depending on which game of thing there, it should generally recognise most force feedback wheels. Certainly, phonetic is pretty easy to do, but then you have to go in game and say, right, this is this function, that function, the other function, and X, Y, Z. Okay. Right, that's those off of that wheel. As you can see, this is actually literally a really cheap, real world steering wheel that came with a actual horn.
Great Tantrum says, It was recognised, and then I go to the website to get the latest drivers.
Right, just so I don't lose any screws. I'll keep them over there for the moment. But basically I need to, oh, let's just read through from there. Yep, most are, to be fair. Just so I don't lose any screws or whatever. Oh, yeah, if you can upgrade at some point, it would be really nice for you, I know. And like I say, the price point that's coming in with the Fanatec DD for a direct drive is incredible. It's something that I think is going to really, you know, shake the market up. So definitely, you know, if you can, it's an amazing drive. The CSL DD, it just amazing. And I do think the price point that they are putting out for the GT Sport pack is really good because it includes a wheel, the drive itself, the desk clamp, and basic pedals. So it just comes with the 2 pedal set, not the 3. And it gives you a lot of options for upgrading in the future. As you can see, with this, I was really lucky.
Says a DA drum gamer who's been with Trademark for quite some time. As you know about me, I've been using a controller and just recently got AG29.
Yeah, a wheel does make you faster.
Ray Tantrum says, now I've got a G29, most of my racing friends are moved on to DD-based systems.
Yeah, it happens. It does happen, but that's where this come out and is changing the face of force feedback drives. It'll come eventually where you'll end up with it being the standard. You know, at the moment it's gone from being only available to the really high level uh, expensive side. So before you was looking at about euros minimum spend on direct drive for pretty much the drive and the power supply only. So that coming down to $350 or €350 for just the base and a base power supply.
Like I said, the CSL DD Pro system will knock my socks off again. I hope I can get to afford it.
Yeah, it is a mid price thing.
Aerox says.
Yeah, G29 is a perfectly serviceable wheel. Obviously, I used one for years myself, but eventually, if you're still playing and having fun, and you save your money up or whatever, then you go to, you eventually want to move on and move up sometimes because it's just that level of immersion that you can get from the direct drives, this thing. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. And we'll take a look now at this one. So this is a Clubsport Universal Hub. This is the V1 version.
A DA drum gamer it is, but I do get what people are saying when it comes to DD wheels. That it blows away G29 much more smooth, less clinical, and far more road details can be flat.
Oh yeah, a hell of a lot more. And obviously the upper force thing is one thing, but it really is about the details and the speed response. So, yeah. So this is a version 1 of the Clubsport. It's a good bit different. Yeah, it is kind of mind-blowing when you switch up. It's a little bit more complicated on the modules here. As you saw on the back of the CSL Universal Hub, you basically would unscrew or loosen 3 screws and then you just pull the modules in and out. This one has 4 separate button modules, and then the funky switch is its own separate there as well. And they're all going into separate parts here. So you've got some holes that come in here, and they're fastened in the back. You can also see a similar arrangement with the other screws. So we've got threaded screws for a 6-screw configuration in exactly the same places that we have on the CSL Universal Hub. And then we have 3 inner screws in here on this faceplate for there. You can also open up the back, because if you don't want a certain module in here, you can take a module out. And I can also see where this is loose, so I'm going to have to rearrange that. And you can also basically unplug modules if you don't want them in there. Say if you're doing something like a drift wheel and you want to make sure that your fingers are not going to get hit by button clusters in the inner wheel. So you may want to go, okay, I don't want any of these button clusters, or I want just one of them or two of them, or I just want the funky switch, or anything like that. You can choose with this hub which one you want. Of course, it's helpful that it still has more of them on the top here. Like I also said, there is also a full USB socket at the bottom here. And unfortunately, this has been wagging around rather loosely. I'm going to see how close these are for this wheel. If I line everything up there, see, that's rather close. Some of these are rather close to different parts here where I don't want them to be close. I might want to change where these are placed so I can place them, arrange them a little bit more to my liking. But it's more involved and takes a good bit more time and patience to do that. Sorry, my nose is being a real pain. This is part of the reason why I stopped a lot of streams, is my nose was being an issue. Right, so I can tell straight away that I'm going to have to open the back up anyway. I'm not too pleased with where these two bottom ones are sitting, and I might want to cinch these two top ones in a bit if I can, which I think I may be able to, and I may be able to cinch these out and to the right a bit so they sit more up here than down there, and then I can cinch this one across more that way. So to do that, I actually have to take the back of this off. We've got 4 screws on here again to do that. So I'm going to undo those. I'm also going to pull out the LCD module while I'm doing that, because I don't want to accidentally catch this and wreck any of those pins. So I'm going to put that over there and do that way. Right. I need something to make sure I don't go losing screws. Always get something prepared so that you're not losing screws. That'd be an absolute nightmare. So I'm going to put screws in the top of here so that I don't go and lose or mix up any of my screws. In case you're wondering, I bought this V1 Universal Hub on eBay.
Gamer said
Thank you, Drunk Gamer. Yeah, I somewhat know what I'm doing. I've had to do it once before. Um, really careful when you take this off. So, as you can see, there's wires here. So when you lift this off, you want to be really careful about what you're doing with that. I'm going to show you the inside here because it's all a little bit delicate. Okay, so hopefully, I can't see if that's focused right, but you can see all of the different wires in here. They're all labelled as well, so you've got says shift left, shift right. Those white cables, they come in. There's some little rubber doohad things here that slip into where the hole is. For when it's closed down. A little bit fiddly, all really fiddly. And it also then says there we've got button boxes. It says Shift R, Shift L with the white ones. Then it's got button 3, button 2, button 4, button 5. And we have a really thick one here which says encoder R1, and then there is a RJ45 data port there which says data, and you can see the USB port at the bottom. So I'm going to actually want to unplug these first, being very careful. They only go in one particular way, so you want to make sure that when you put them in and take them out that it's the correct way they're going to go in. If I wanted to, I could replace these shifters as well. These are non-magnetic. These are just sprung, so you can actually get magnetic shifter paddles and things like this for this. We're going to remove that. Data 3 is my top right. Data 2 is my bottom right. You can see sometimes some of these are a little bit delicate in that that has actually come off the board, so the white part has come off the board with the plug, so it should actually go in there. That's not too good on the quality control. That should have been glued down better. I would have expected much better from that, but that is what it is. It's okay, I can do something about that, but I need to get this one, and I need to get that one. So button 4, button 5, and there's the thing for button 6, but we're not going to be adding button 6. Thank you. Right, what does I do with my glasses? There they are. I need newer glasses for close-up working. My sight is changing. So now you can see what we're left with is just the front metal plate, and in behind here we can see where the screw mounts are. Yeah, so there's the outer ones there. Six of those, and then there's three inner mounts. And all the other holes are for you to place nuts and bolts in here with your other controls. So what I'm going to want to do is arrange all of my controls first to how I want them in the rim. Yeah? And then I can tighten everything up and go, yay, that's where I want it. The bit that's a little bit annoying is that this stuff is on the other side of it, and trying to judge it sometimes from here means you'll have to put one on, make sure it's in a good position, right position, and go, right, okay, that's there, cinch it down as much as you can, and then go, right, okay, move it a little, cinch it down, move that a little. So it's a good bit more of an involved process when using the older Clubsport Universal Hub. But it is what it is, and this does allow you for a lot more variance than you're going to have with the more basic CSL, not CSL, CSL Universal Hub. The Clubsport one, both the V1, excuse me, V1 and V2 are a little bit more time consuming. But they really do allow for a good deal more. The other issue here is they are on the back here bolts. So you're going to want a wrench, either of an adjustable type, to grab hold of bolts sometimes, so that you can then tighten everything in. So that's a little bit difficult. You can also see on the reverse side where they have these are basically square kind of rail mounted parts. So you'd hold it in part where you want it, and then you will screw in the bolt, tighten that up that way. The other thing you could do is, if you have, do I have any in there? I don't have them in this set. I should have got that out before. Oh, silly me. Hopefully I have this. I hope. I don't have it in my other toolkit there. I was hoping I had it closer at hand. Just give me a second to have another quick look round. No, it's not up there. Not there. Hey. There it is. I was hoping I hadn't lost it, and I haven't. Other little tools, little socket wrenches that I hope is the right size. That one's too small, isn't it? It's going to be that one or that one. I hope I have the right size. No. I hope it hasn't gone missing. Otherwise, it might be in with the power drill. Ha ha! Good job. Okay, so very handy straight socket wrench. I can literally then just hold in place and tighten as I need. So yeah, this would be really handy with this type. So because when you're using one of these open wrenches and trying to hold something else and it gets slippy all over the place, it's just a real pain in the backside. So having something like this is really handy. This is a ratchet type one as well, so it can be locked in place if I want, and I can just use like a normal screwdriver, or I can ratchet for I want to tighten, or ratchet for I want to loosen. So yeah, I'm gonna have it so it's just fixed in place for the moment, because that's going to be handy when you're trying to adjust both in and out all the time. Right, let's try and get this into reasonable space. Like I say, I want this so that, roughly speaking, I want these bottom ones, I want further out and to the sides. So I want to move this one and this one further out that way so that they come this way a bit and this way a bit and up a bit, maybe. And I want to move these ones maybe down a bit so they come closer to the interior. Actually, no, they're in a good place, actually. The top two are actually in a really good place. So these bottom ones, they need to go out and away from the inner hub. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen off these two and drag them out, and then I'm going to have this one slightly off to the centre, so we're going to do that. That's them loose. You can see now how I can just maneuver that around. There's a couple of slots in here, so with a larger wheel I'm using a hole here. I could maneuver this to one of the other holes as I please, though I think for this job that hole may be appropriate. Let's see. Yeah, the way you. And let's loosen that off as well while I'm at it, so I can just, there we go, remove those out of the way. Now, there we go. And see, maybe I want that to sit somewhere closer to there. The problem's going to be sometimes if you're not careful, wherever you place this could be in the way of one of the screw holes that you need. So you kind of have to maneuver it into place and make sure that when they're around where you want them, they're not covering up the holes that you need to actually place the rim in with, which they are. If I'm going to move that into there, that's literally going to be in the way. So I need to move both of these bottom bottom ones off to a different hole. So I think I'm going to move them out to a hole over here, down one and across. If I move them down one, will that be the right place to do it? If I move them there, that's going to come across there. It may not be as good. Yeah, I'm going to move it down one that way, and that will hopefully give me the clearance that I want. Or, well, that's going to come out that way, so maybe I go I want to find out roughly basically where I want it. There's two close there. Yeah, I think I actually want it to be down closer there or close to here. Oh, decisions, you see. Sometimes too much choice is a bad thing. It's a lot fiddlier to do this bit. Maybe do it like up that way. Right. So anyway, I do need to move both of those away from that hole, I think, possibly this hole here on this side and this hole here on this side, so they can actually have them swing up that way, and then that can be freer down the bottom left. So we can do that for both of these. Do one at a time with that. Just because them swinging around free is making it difficult. Well, yeah, I don't want to lose bolts. Nothing worse than losing bolts, especially if you don't know if you've got any replacements, which are those ones which are a bit different. I don't think I do. So, yeah. Well, okay, so I'm going to move that one to the side here. I'm going to make sure it's out of the way of any of my other screw parts there. Put it in so it's a little bit loose. So I've still got, even though it's reasonably tight, I can still maneuver this around a little bit. So let's have a look. No. This is a difference between that. I mean, this wheel by itself, this is a podium wheel and is €150, €160. If you look at the price of comparable real world wheels, they're this price or more for this quality. I think the quality of these compared to the real world equivalents that you get are spot on in terms of price wise. The fiddliness comes from this Universal Hub being so universal and made so that you can do so much with it, which does make it really fiddly, but makes it endlessly adjustable to give you whatever you want. And that's a bit of the point of it, that you could have whatever you want on here. Cost wise, I think the Universal Hubs are a little bit expensive actually, but you know, not that expensive. But it makes sense over what they do, and it allows you to just buy the rim rather than buying the rim with all of the electronics, because if you imagine this rim with the electronics already in, or something like the Porsche version of the Podium Rim, which already has the button box, has a set button box, which you can't use with too many other shapes of wheels, has to really be a right match up for it. You're looking at €500. Yeah, so 600 euros for one that's fully constructed, or similar price deconstructed, but I can just go, right, I really want a rim for this type of car that I'm going to be driving a lot of. So I can just go, right, there's €150 and I get a really good quality rim that I can place onto a universal hub and just adjust it. So in those terms, it makes a lot more sense. But you are right, it is fiddly and a lot of work. So there is a little bit too high. But no, that's good. That works out just about. I can maybe get away with putting that down just slightly more. Yep. Yes, that's good. That looks like a good match. Ooh, we're making progress. I think we've got a good match for this side. So I'm just going to make sure that doesn't move when I tighten it in. That's in good and tight. That's in good and tight. That's in good and tight. Now, one of the other things I didn't mention as well. Not only is it adjustable from here, each of these modules in the arms here, they're held on by some screws here, and there are flat lines in there. So I can actually move this button box on the arm down further on the arm if I want. So if I need this just to be moved down a little bit, then I can move this on the arm as well and not just have to rely on moving the arm.
How's it going, Salsa?
Going well, we're just fitting obviously this rim to my older universal hub, which I'm having to adjust the faceplate and where these button boxes are. So you'll see the comparison on the final video, obviously, of what you need to do to adjust from a CSL Universal Hub to a Clubsport Universal Hub. Like I say, this is Clubsport Universal Hub V1. I got this second hand on eBay. It's a bit scratched up, but I got it for cheaper than I can buy the Universal Hub anyway. That's one of the other things. I mean, I was lucky in the Black Friday sales. They had basically this steering wheel and the hub was bought together for €200. Normally it's €300. So that's really good. And then this steering wheel is normally, I think it was 130, €140 and was €100. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that. And that's going to give me quite a good range of cars that I have steering wheels to match for. So old 80s, early 90s Formula cars, some other lesser Formula cars and things like that. I can just use this with it. And then where I have, say, GT4s or GT3s that have this shape wheel, or other premium cars that have this shape wheel, I can use this one, which I'm mounting onto the Universal Hub, and then the rest of the time, the GT3s and some other formulas, I can still use this.
Decided to use it for console use. No space in PC room.
Alright, you can use it for console base. Okay. You can always, well, depending on how, you can always use a load of extenders to extend the cables for your VR headset all the way through, but it depends on the headset you're using. I can't remember which headset you're using. Which one is it, Hat? Which headset are you using? And then you can always, get some really long powered USB extenders. One way of going around it. And then you just, yeah. So Rift S, you would just need to get it's DisplayPort, isn't it? The Rift S. So you need to get DisplayPort extenders and compatible USB 3 extenders, powered USB 3 extension cable or hub.
USB and DisplayPort extenders here. Says error.
Yep. I know that back in the day, VR Oasis, his VR space was a great deal away from his PC. So he actually had 10-meter extension cables into his headset on the CV1, I think that was. So he had 10-meter extension cables to run between places. So you should be able to do a fair amount in terms of things like that. And then of course you can always see what's going on the desktop from inside your headset. Right, got one in. I know the rough position of the other one, and I know then roughly where I want my funky switch. So we're going to put that this way. It's going to be in that hole there, and to the right of there. So we need one of these. It's going to slip in the channel. We need the bolt. There. These bolts have a, like the inner rubber chase on there. So when you tighten these in, it feels like it's clamping down and is really hard to do, but it's just where it's hit the inner rubber ring inside of the bolt. So you're not actually doing any damage to a thread, but it helps obviously on vibration because you don't want nuts that are in the inside and aren't held securely in place. So having the nuts that actually have the rubber seal in the bolt helps a lot retain that bolt through vibrations. So it is a very well thought out product. I think there. I'm just going to check that for alignment. Yep, that all lines up. Looks nice. Now I just need a funky switch in, which I think I'm going to put a funky switch down here to the left. So if I put the funky switch in there down to the left. I think it's bent out a little. I think that's going to go around about there. Maybe a tiny bit in. Yep, I think about there. My bolt. Yeah, we're still waiting on news for PSVR 2, aren't we? And still awaiting any news on Gran Turismo 7 actually having VR. don't at me when I say this, but I still haven't seen anything from them, and I still don't have the confidence on anything there until I see something official of them saying, yes, the whole game will be in VR.
VR says, in sim racing news, iRacing just in the last few hours got F1 2021 Mercedes hybrid cars, and I'm super hyped.
Cool. Of course, if you want to look back and see some of the other 21, yeah, it'd be the 21 series that we've got the mod for on AMS2 and AC at the moment. If you want to take a look at some of those videos, and I remember too, there'll be like an info card that'll go over there somewhere. If I watch this back and put one of those in, I'll try to remember and try to get the time to. Those are two separate concepts. This this nut is unfortunately not the same as those nuts. Oh, nuts. I believe these are these M6 nuts. I might have a slightly more suitable nut, because that one is not rubberized. Those are remains.
On board iRacing for next year's Volta.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that yet myself. No. I was just thinking that I might have some M6 bolts that had the smaller rubber rim like these ones do, but I don't. So I've got one in here that doesn't have the rubber rim, and that's how, unfortunately, this came. Like I say, I got the second hand, so.
Legends says, using PC for VR flight sims with the Hotas Warthog for now.
A warthog for what? Oh, for flight sims, using for PC flight sims. Yeah. Yeah, PC as well. Flight sim wise is cool. Moment, I know we make jokes of Lincoln having all the drives and all the rigs, but at the moment I actually have uh, this rig here. I have the complete stand and back, front stand of the uh, Alpha, not Alpha, it's not Alpha, it's Apex front stand and rear stand still. I have my old DX racing chair there that I could probably tear apart and mount onto that if I just buy a rail mount.
Gaming Legends says, I got some mezza mounts, same stuff as your sim rig to mount to table.
Yeah. I've also got still the G29 as well. So I've got enough to have a complete separate rig for PlayStation and a G29 build as well still. I then also have a separate wheel mount that had the wheel mount Pro, which had the bar that goes down the middle, single bar as an upright, and I had them send me out adjustment plates for the side so that I have a HOTUS with a middle position and the throttle stick to the left, so it's good for fighters. I've got a X 56 Rhino. So I've got, you know, what was the old Cytec X56 Rhino in there as a HOTAS with some Thrustmaster pedals, which I have to adjust because the pentometer has gone out off center, and basically when you have your feet even, it will have you going off to the right, and it will also be juddering, so the pentometer needs to be cleaned out and adjusted so that it will actually work straight, because no matter what you do in the calibration software, it won't actually calibrate correctly. So the pentometer does actually need positional adjustment and cleaning out because it's got a judder. So I might at some point do that because it's been ages since I've been in DCS, which I do like DCS, obviously, because when you go into things like that, it's incredible to do. It's just incredible to see.
Says, is your Fanatec compatible with PlayStation?
No. The CSL is not compatible with PlayStation. For that, there is the new GT Pro, well, the new GT as they call it, which comes as a bundle, so you can't get the PlayStation compatible base station. So PlayStations are chipped on base station. So if you get a, you know, if I was to replace that CSL DD with a GT Pro base station, then I would have the compatibility. Xbox, it's about the wheels or the hub. So this is an Xbox compatible Universal Hub. So I'd be able to use this on an Xbox or a PC. And it doesn't matter about which base station you use then. If you have a PlayStation compatible base station, you can use it on PC, PS4 or 5, and then if you have an Xbox compatible steering wheel, like this one's Xbox compatible steering wheel, This is an Xbox compatible Universal Hub. So with those two, I could actually use that plugged into a base, and that would be Xbox compatible. Not that I'd ever use it on an Xbox, but it would also be PC compatible as well. So I mostly use PC. I never used an Xbox, never owned an Xbox. They just haven't had enough to apply.
Some people have had success with a project called
Yes.
says, not seen any reviews in English yet though.
Yeah, I actually have a dongle that works in a similar way for not just racing wheels, but also for uh, hostesses and other things. So you essentially plug the steering wheel or whatever into the PC, and from the PC you then run a USB cable to a separate one that plugs into the PlayStation, and you'd have your standard PlayStation controller plugged into that USB stick that's going into the PlayStation also, and it will convert any inputs from the PC side over to the PlayStation side. However, when I first used that, it introduced some lag, and that introduction of lag for me was a little bit too much. You're only talking microseconds, but the introduction of lag for me was excessive past a certain point in microseconds. So it wasn't good for me unless it's that sort of like sub sort of like 3-4 microseconds. Anything over 4 microseconds I feel is not good. Personally, I felt that I could feel that. It also then does things with force feedback as well to try and convert the force feedback from the PlayStation part into the PC side, and there'll be an introduction of lag in the force feedback as well, and it also has to be reinterpreted by everything, so it's not, those are not usually perfect, and they're highly reliant on a load more cables and everything else like that. So that was just too much headache for me. Of course, if at some point I go, right, I want to, if they say that Gran Turismo 7 is going to be fully playable in VR on PlayStation 5 and PSVR 2, and I have the money to get a PlayStation 5 and a PSVR 2, then I could go out, get the GT Sport package or whatever. The Fanatec gear really does retain its price, especially at the moment, because if you try to get a CSL DD at the moment, you're going to have a hard time getting one outside of eBay above the retail price. So I can pretty much, I've got the box back there, I can pretty much go and say, right, okay, here's the second hand one.
Have the chip. The T300 can use any wheel attachment. I'm using a Ferrari Alcantara wheel attachment.
Yes.
Hand VR. Seven in VR.
Yep. Yeah, if it has that, I probably will do that, and then basically sell out that base, just switch the bases, and then sell that separately, which should still at that point, if demand is still the same way that it is now, sell for more than I bought it for probably, which would be awesome. Because then I could make up a bit of the difference in buying it, you know, with the GT wheel or whatever, with the extra cost that's involved there. When the GT one comes in, that's got 5 Newton meter. I'll sell it off with the 5 Newton meter pack, and be done that way, and sell off the pedals as well. Sell the pedals off cheaper because it won't have a box, but it would be amazing if it does make profit, but we'll see. Anyhow, I'm nearly there. So these look pretty thinged in. I just want to make sure that's all lined up. Okay, so there we go. The the early Fanatics uh, didn't. The earlier Fnatic stuff had the same deal. You had a Xbox version, well, an Xbox and PC version of the bases, which was a cheaper base. You then had a PC base. So for the CSL Elite, there was the CSL CSL Elite, CSL Plus. So CSL Elite Plus is the versions that had PS4 and PS compatibility. The same with the Clubsport. There are different versions of the Clubsport wheelbase because they have a separate chip in them. They had to be licensed and had a separate chip. So you'd be paying about 10 to 20 euros more for a PlayStation compatible base. So the earlier Fanatec stuff, wheelbases, same deal. You have to have a PlayStation compatible base for its work. And that is the case always. But of course, like I said, it's the wheels that hold the chips when it comes to the Xbox compatibility. So when you plug in a Xbox compatible wheel into a PlayStation compatible base, it will be compatible for Xbox as well. So that's how you get Fanatec being able to be plugged into a PC, a PS4, PS5, whatever, you know, PS basically, and an Xbox. It was always on the wheel. That depends for you to be able to do that. So if you plug an Xbox wheel into a PlayStation base, it would still work on a PlayStation, but it would also work on an Xbox and PC, and that's still the same case. Right, so looking at this, I don't actually like where that is sitting. That is actually sitting too low there. I need to move that further that way to the left, which will be to the right on if I have it upside down. So I'll move this out that way a bit. Just a little bit. Okay, let's see if that feels better. So there you go. Need to wire this all back in now. So that's where my wheel's going to be sitting. Everything in here. Just going to make sure, doubly sure, that everything is all tightened up. That one there was a bit loose. Okay, good. It shouldn't be. Not with the wheel. It's dependent on the wheel that's plugged in. I'm pretty certain, and I'll double check. There's right. Here's what you've got to watch out for. Where it says Xbox ready. Yeah? You'll see Xbox ready on there. If you just buy that bundle, it will not work on an Xbox. And the reason is, you have to read the fine print, is you need an Xbox wheel plugged into the base. That's why they say Xbox ready. Every Fanatec base station that is PS compatible is Xbox ready, but it is dependent on having an Xbox compatible, like this one is, or this wheel is, to work on an Xbox. So if you buy the GT7 bundle, the GT wheel that comes with that is a PlayStation wheel. It will not have an Xbox compatible chip inside that wheel.
Gaming Legends says, I see the chip is in the wheel. Thanks.
Yeah. So if you buy that set, and you also buy another wheel like this one where it's an Xbox compatible wheel, plug this wheel into the base, and then bam, there's your Xbox compatibility. It confuses a lot of people first of all with that one, so I wanted to make sure it was very, very clear that it's Xbox ready, but not fully Xbox compatible. It's dependent on that wheel. Right, let's make sure this is in a good place before I finally plug everything in. That's better. Yes, that's much better. Yep, I'm happy with it. Finally, takes so much time sometimes. Right, now we have to plug everything back in, screw everything back up, and screw the wheel in. So I'm going to do that nice and calm. And make sure that I'm plugging everything in the right way. So you don't want to mess up putting it back in. Now, unfortunately, like I say, I got the second hand. There are some rubber gates here that where you could have had like these little rubber bits that are supposed to slip down in here. But the previous owner of this wasn't so careful as to retain all of those but two.
Says, pointless really thinking of it now. You can play for a games on PC.
You can play all the Xbox games on PC, exactly. So, yeah, it is a bit pointless to own an Xbox. Especially when you've got a PC that's a hell of a lot more powerful. Okay, so I want to make sure everything's in the right place. Both my pedals are still plugged in. We've got the lower left one goes in that way into button 5. That goes button box 5. And got button box 4. Kind of this in as neat as possible. Same, it's a set way round. So be button box 4. Then this will be button box 3. Goes that way round. Then button box too. I really wish I had some glue to cinch that down, and that would go which way round? That way. I really need to get some glue or something to cinch this down into place and repair it on the circuit board. Really is tricky stuff. Bit annoying that that happened with the little adapter part there. And then we have this one, which is encoder R1, which is the funky switch, and that goes
Gaming Legends.
that way.
Opted for a rim seat of rim, the option to raise the seat higher or lower for F1 or GT racing.
That's quite cool. Of course, the F1 is not just about height sometimes with the F1, it is also about the pedal angle and height of the pedals as well. But if you can change the angle on the seat, easier, drop it down. If possible, drop it down lower than the pedals, because obviously F1 position, your backside is literally lower than the pedals, so your seat is angled up like that, and your legs come that way and have the pedals straight on down in the nose, and then you're reclined quite a way back, and you're then looking down that way a little bit more as you're driving all the way through. Really is quite an odd position. If you see like a side-on look, it always looks like the drivers are ready to go into a fetal like position and curl up into a fetal position inside the cockpit. It's the way they deal with crash zones and things like that to hopefully minimize different things and to just get the right placement for all the aerodynamics to work and all stuff like that. Crazy stuff. More now than used to be, actually. They're much more of that downward position than the older F1 cars. I've sat in some older Ferrari cars, and that was cool. Right, the issue now is making sure that I don't cinch any of these wires, and there are bolts here as well that need to go in place for the back there, so I want to make sure that all these wires are tucked in correctly. I don't want to damage any of the wires for the button boxes. I also want to make sure that they're out of the way of the shifters and possible fingers. Okay, so that's that on that way. With this now in place there, all my wires I want, like I say, as good as out of the way as I can get them. I wish I had the little rubber bits there because that would hold better there. Turn that in a bit there. Rotate that in a little that way. Make sure I hold it in place for a bit. Ooh, go on. Go on. There you go. There we go. There we go. Right. Something else I should have mentioned actually when I was putting this in is there is a white arrow on this bit here. That white arrow needs to be on the top of it. Oh, which it is. So we're good to go. Right, let's screw the back parts into here. Two, three, and four. Again, just making sure I get these wires definitely out of the way of that. Yes, yes, yes. Good. I want this one. Making sure that those go in nicely and there's no wire in the way. I'm doing this before putting the wheel on, because if you try and do it with the wheel, you find you've got a big clumbersome mass that you've got to try and maneuver around with little itty bitty fiddly things, and that just becomes a big nightmare. Yep, that's them. So I can go ahead and tighten these in. Okay. I know obviously the title on this was really about the CSL Universal unboxing, and it's gone on a lot longer, so I can show you this alternative and everything that goes into putting the wheels together, what the alternatives are, the different quick release systems, that the quick release system on the CSL Universal Hub is replaceable. CSL, the quick release 1 system that's on here is not removable on the V1 version of this hub. It is removable on the V2 version of the Clubsport Hub, and on the Clubsport Hub.
Says you should have put a word mat on your table. Scratches.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm not worried about the table. The table is not expensive, and it's barely used. So if people come across, I can just, put a tablecloth over the top. They'll never know. It won't bother me. There we go. So that's the Universal Hub, the Clubsport Universal Hub back together. Now the other choice is, like I say, this podium wheel came with 2 sets of bolts. It's got black bolts to go straight in the black part there of this rim, or it has the gold coloured ones to go with the stitching. I don't really use these gold coloured ones. I like the stitching, I like that accent. Though I'm not going to see it in VR, but I will for the rest of the time. And it may be up on my wall at different points because we've got some wall mount brackets, you know, quick release wall mount bracket basically, which I will be putting some of those probably up over there somewhere where they're quick to get to from the rig, so I can quickly just, you know, go along and do the whole thing. I do like this one. I am going to replace at some point probably the quick releases on certainly the McLaren GT3 wheel for the
wheels actual size.
Yes, the wheels are actual size. These are real size, authentic size. So this is an R300 sized podium wheel, exactly the same that you would find in a GT4, some GT3s, and some other sort of sports cars and racing cars, track day cars, examples, you know, different track day cars and things like that would have this size wheel exactly. The same goes for this little fella here. This is exactly the same size as you would find in a 1980s Formula One car. So if you're into your Lotus Formula One cars or your other 1980s, early 90s Formula cars and some of the lower spec Formula cars that still have a circular wheel rim, that is the size of the wheel rim that they actually use. So yeah, it's as close to real deal stuff as you can get. Only thing I'm going to say with having this smaller rim with this one is the button boxes are really close to the edge here, so I'm gonna have to watch my fingers a bit there occasionally. That's the only criticism I think I'd have over this. In retrospect, placing, you know, if I really want to go down that road, especially since I've got an actual button box sitting across there, there's a load of functions I can map onto a button box and say take a load of these arms off of here and then put this rim onto there if I wanted to. But I'm going to see how it goes with it, because I'm going to see how it goes with it. If I feel like I'm ending up bashing my fingers too much against the buttons here, then I might swap it over and swap this rim for this one onto here. But I thought it'd be a good little thing you've got to remember the less weight you have generally, um, and the smaller a rim actually means for sharper response times from direct drive. It also means the actual amount of pressure through the wheel can be felt a bit more, really. Whereas if you have a large diameter wheel, some of the force has to go into, or a large diameter and heavier wheel goes into driving that wheel. The much wider the wheel, the more strain it puts onto the direct drive, the less sharp response times that you can get in some ways for the when you need a really fast acceleration of the wheel, for example, takes more to build up because of the momentum. But then if you have something that's a bigger wheel, it's likely to be a drift wheel anyway. In which case, that kind of slop that you get from a drift wheel, well, not slop exactly, but the kind of continued momentum that you get from a drift wheel is then kind of replicated on in that way. Right. But I'm going to use these fancy bolts because we can, and it looks bling, and I like it. Even if the universal mount there itself is a little bit scratched up, you're not going to really see that much. But the front plate part, you're definitely going to pay attention to. Right, lined up. Look loose. We're gonna cinch them in until we got like all the bolts basically in loose, and then we want to cinch them in slowly so that we don't wreck any of the lovely metal work on here. I want this bad boy looking good. What time is it? Wow, like 9 o'clock. Wow, I didn't plan on that amount of time. So yeah, I'm gonna have to retitle this a bit, aren't I? Because we've got a live unboxing of the CSL Universal Hub and comparison to this Clubsport Hub, Clubsport Universal Hub, and unboxing of two separate wheels and a full-on build and guide onto both of them. There we go. That's coming nice. So nice. So nice. This should definitely be in nice. Good. So tighten that up. Play opposites, tighten up, move over one, tighten that up, play opposite, tighten that up, move on one, tighten that one up, then move to the opposite. Just to make sure everything is good, everything is sweet there. It is. Final tightening. There we have it. We just want to plop this back to the top there. Then that. So here we go. There is our Platinum R300 on the Universal V1 Hub. So Clubsport Universal V1 Hub with a Platinum R300 wheel. All done up like that. Quick release is V1. So you'd be, a little bit tricky to get in there, but you'd literally just bump and done. You can see in there's the buttons on the top as well. The buttons around here as well. Funky switch. All our other button layouts. These have caps. You can take these caps off and change them for other caps if you need be. In VR, you've just got to memorize what those buttons are and memorize which one's going to be doing what. So there's that. But functionally, that's cool. Then we have here. You can see that. So this is again CSL Universal Hub. We've just got the CSL quick release on here. So this is just a normal CSL plasticky type quick release. That can be replaced for a Clubsport quick release. So you can get the Clubsport metal quick release for this as well, which you would need if you have a DD1 or a DD2 to be able to unlock the full
We'll be putting an order in for the DB clothes with another Apex rig for the PC room.
yeah. So that's there. It's got here the now I don't know if you can hear that or not because the background noise removal that I have may lock that out, but we have, generally speaking, for this, let's do the other way around first. So, Clubsport 1, I've got 4 button modules, each with 3 normal buttons on them. Nice positive clicks, map whichever you like. We have 1 funky switch, and then we have like the D-pad buttons on the top here, and it has the PlayStation buttons there, and then you have L1 to 3, R1 to 3, and the select and start and the mode button. So that's got a lot of buttons on there, and then you've got a little display here which you can also have that display flat if you want it to have flat, but I prefer obviously to have it up just for ease of use when you need to. And we have flappy panels, which again sprung loaded. This has got shorter arm paddles on here, so if you know, the original ones are actually longer and round wise, so it's more similar to what you have in that arrangement. And then here is the finished CSL for comparison. Feels lovely. I'm pretty pleased with that. Buttons wise, we've got 4 normal push buttons on the left, 4 normal push buttons on the right. We have 2 switches. I think it's just an up, down, up, down. It feels like they go in, they're not actual switches when you push in, it's just an up and down. We also have a rocker switch here on the left, and on the right is the funky switch, which is a 4-way hat with a push button and a left right dial sort of encoder, same as the funky switch on there and other Fanatec gear. You will be well and truly recognise the funky switches. I think the funky switches are the best. I do really wish they would put 2 of these things on some of the rims instead of just 1, because those things are fantastic. I certainly thought that was the case with something like the GT3 there, just having, instead of the Xbox button, having a second funky switch that did the Xbox function on the press and then did all the other functions would have been really cool. But it is what it is. Right. We're going to leave it there. Show that off. Okay. So, some choices. Let's do this that way, and that way. There we go. cool. Right, so thank you all for coming along. It's been a pleasure to have you. Stream's gone on a lot longer than I expected it would, as these things always do. I'm happy some of you come along and joined in.
Monsieur, with these rims, you're really spoiling us.
Yes, that's great. I love it. Monsieur, with these rims, you're really spoiling us. Fantastic. Oh, good job. Good job. Oh, on that note, oh, bless you. Love it. So yeah, obviously, McLaren GT3, 100% replica. Only difference between this and the real life one and the real life one being made of carbon fibre and all that is one encoder in here. Really love this wheel. I should do a proper review of that at some point, but it's been a real go-to for a long time. Love it. Can't say more about that. What we've got new though, of course, the two new rims which we put onto these Universal Hubs. We have in the middle the newer CSL Universal Hub, which is, obviously cheaper to get than the Clubsport Universal Hub. I think the price difference is between this hub and the Clubsport Hub is about €100 price difference between the two, maybe a bit more, uncertain. But it looks good, feels pretty good. I'll have to get it out onto the rig and try that out. So future streams trying both this rim with this CSL Universal Hub and see how I like it with that. Like I say, I'm uncertain with the button boxes being quite as high as they are on such a small rim, and the rim being so flat, that this might be the wrong choice. It might be better for me to use this version 1 Universal Hub with this steering wheel and remove some of the button clusters so that I have more thumb space at the top and finger space at the top, and maybe have just a funky switch or a button cluster somewhere else.
A lot of rim action going on, Flush.
Yes. So then we come across here, of course, the Clubsport Universal Hub V1 with R300 Platinum. Not Platinum. Why did I say Platinum? It's not Platinum. Podium Rim. Both these rims, similar price. This rim was obviously a little bit more expensive than the little fella, but they've both got the same leather. The stitching work and everything on this R300 is exquisite. It looks just so beautiful and feels really good in hand. But I will give you some proper reviews on that kind of thing at a later date, or you'll see me just with that on the rig. We got some got to try that out with some few things, so that'll be great. All the other notes, as always, I'll still be joining in with Friday's Ham VR's racing session on Settup Competizione. That's from like 8:30 in the evening. And is it 8:30 or 8 we're going from? I think it's 8:30. 8:30. And what's it going to be this week? It's going to be Barcelona first. It's Barcelona first. Is it Barcelona first? Or was that last week? I've forgotten. I've forgotten where we're going on Friday, but yeah, there's probably a link going to end up over there to that event. Go press that, go check out, you can find out.
Says 2030 Suzuka then Laguna Seca.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, 'cause it was Barcelona first this week and then it was Suzuka, so yeah. So we've got the 2022 version of Suzuka, you're saying? And then Laguna Seca.
Gaming Legends says
Lovely.
if it's Barcelona, don't drive a red car.
Yeah. Well, no, we're going to be, it's not Barcelona, so don't have to worry about that. It's going to be Suzuka, the 2022 version of the track, or that's been updated, I suppose. It's been updated, or is it 2020, or is it the 2021? Because, or have they just already put the changes in for the 2022 season? But anyhow, yeah, as Ham said, it's going to be Suzuka first and followed by Laguna Seca. So those are two really good tracks. Suzuka is a real test of technical driving, and Laguna Seca is, oh, that corkscrew. It's all about the corkscrew. Quite a technical track as well. But the corkscrew really does test the bravery in VR a bit, and it can show. But certainly Suzuka is going to be a wonderful challenge for a lot of people in just how technical it is, including myself. So should be interesting, especially the first corner in Suzuka. I wonder what's going to probably happen on the first corner of Suzuka. Could be a mess. Could be quite messy. Should be interesting to see. Anyhow, join us for Fridays on that. Join us for future streams. If you like this sort of thing that I'm doing as well at the moment with the different hardware, then definitely give a thumbs up, likes. I should say as well, I'm not sponsored by Fanatec at all.
Says, how do the track telemetries compare from different games? Ham VR says, thanks for the stream, Salsa. Cheers.
Yeah, I'm not going to say on the track wise stuff between different games. There is a lot of variances between different games, and not just the tracks or the track layouts between year in year out. In ACC itself, there is a big difference between some tracks for particular years, not just in layouts, but in actual road surfaces. So for Silverstone example, they do in ACC Competizione, they do actually tend to age the tarmac with the year. so that if you are racing cars from one year or another year, the surface will feel completely different, and has different spots where the circuit itself, the surface has degraded. So in Settup Competizione, they have been tracking where the surface has degraded on different circuits and things, and applying that into the game, along with the appropriate seasons cars that you're playing, and the variant shows in the space of, say, Silverstone from 2019 to Silverstone 2020, there is about a 2-second difference in the top sort of lap times that you'll get out of the track. And that's simply because in 2019 or 2020, the track has become more slick with wear, so has become a little bit more, shall we say, interesting to deal with. But there you go. Anyhow, if you like this content and you want to see more, I'm not sponsored by Fanatec at all. I should just get used to saying it as phonetic. Maybe then they'll sponsor me. I don't know. It'd be nice. Or give me a thing. I don't have a link below or anything else like that. So every opinion I've given is my own. And even if they didn't sponsor me or give me anything, I would actually say, right, okay, you know, we've got to be honest about everything that I say here and say what the fraction points are, and for whatever I do, so you can only be that way. So everything I've said here is, you know, my own opinion, and everything is bought with my own money. So get that one on the table for you there. Right, take care. YouTube-ish thing I'm gonna do is subscription button is going to appear somewhere. There'll be a video for there that you can watch, and a video over there, and I hope you've enjoyed it all.
Thanks for the stream. Inspirational as usual. Thumbs up.
Take care, have a good time, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to leave with my arms sitting here like this as a thumbnail on the outro. Possibly as an extra thumbnail as well. It's enough of that, isn't it? Little keyboard, turn on.